Alright guys, today we got an iPad mini 5th generation that has a cracked screen, which we are going to repair. The LCD works fine, there's no damage on it, but the digitizer is cracked so bad that it's no longer recognizing. And the home button is not working either. So the first thing you want to do is turn your iPad over, and we're going to look at the back. It's in small letters, so you're going to want to find, this is how you find your model number. Starts with an A, it should be 4 digits. This model is an A1823. So this is how you want to find your model of iPad so you can order the correct screen. I wouldn't take this off till I get the screen in the mail or you have one on hand, but you want to take the screen that you ordered, you want to lay it on top of the iPad, 1, to make sure it fits, and 2, you want to find out where the cables are. So you can be careful when prying it off not to accidentally tear those cables. On this iPad, we laid it on there, and you can tell that it's on the bottom right side. I'll leave a link in the description. There's 3 cables we need to watch out for, and this one will fit an 1822 or an 1823. I'll leave a link in the description where I got this from. So you want to take a heat gun or hair dryer, and you want to go around the edges and heat it up to make it to loosen the glue and make it easier to pry up. I highly recommend a heat gun. I'll try to leave a link in the description to this one. It gets way hotter and makes life a lot easier, a lot faster than the hairdryer. This is the best pry tool you can have. It's a Sesamo tool. I could not find my Sesamo tool, so I had another little pry tool that I'm using. But if you can get something thin and small, you don't want anything too big that you're going to stick way in there, it will definitely help you. But you want to get something you can pry this loose, and like I said, heat it towards the edges, don't heat it towards the LCD. And when you're prying, make sure you're prying towards your screen, not the actual LCD. You're going to be prying towards the screen that you're ordering, because we can damage that one because we're replacing it. Once it got hot enough and I got enough space, I was able to pull this open. And when you pull this digitizer open, you want to pull it like a book from left to right. Also be careful down here by the home button. On both sides there's a Wi-Fi connector, and sometimes it sticks to this screen. So just when you're pulling it off, just be very careful when you're pulling that nothing is sticking to it. Now we're going to start trying to access these screws. They're still covered by little shards of glass. Sometimes you get lucky and your iPad has huge pieces of glass. It's a lot easier to take off. But this one is not so fortunate. There's 4 screws, there's 2 at the top and there's 2 at the bottom. And you want to take off as much glass as you can so that you can pull this LCD up. For some reason, you can't pull the LCD up. Make sure that you got all this glass off. Sometimes there's little pieces of glass like that little glass. I don't know if you can see it right there in the middle of the LCD on the left-hand side. It's a little bit too far out, so I need to get that a little bit more, and I did do that. I went back in there and got it, like I said, heated up real close to the edge, and it should pull off a lot easier. These are anti-static tweezers that I'm using, and I'll leave a link in the description. You can use something wood or plastic. Just stay away from metal. Please, no metal tweezers. It can do a lot of damage. But once we've got that, we want to pull towards ourselves, pull the LCD towards yourself, and then there's going to be a little plate at the back. This plate is going to be holding down your LCD and your digitizer. So you're going to want to take a small Phillips screwdriver. I'll try to leave a link in the description as well. That way when you order your screen, you can order one of these screwdrivers. You can get most of these screwdrivers at any electronics store, but it's just a small Phillips screwdriver. Once you do that, you can pull the connection of the LCD off. Don't pull the LCD, go down there with your fingers and pull the actual connection. And then there's going to be a lift gate on this home button. You're going to want to pull the little lift gate up, and then you're going to want to pull the home button down, and then the other 2 connections, you can just pull those straight out. And once we do that, we're going to want to clean up this iPad. So heat and repeat. Pry, repeat, heat, repeat. You want to get all these shards of glass out. Make sure you don't forget any little shard of glass. It's gonna help when you put the tape down. It's gonna help when you put your iPad down. If you have a little piece of glass in there, your iPad's never gonna fit right. There's gonna be a little gap here, a little gap there. It has a chance of lifting. So make sure you clean your iPad really, really, really well around the edges and get all the shards of glass out. Be careful around the cameras and stuff like that you don't accidentally whack them. Next thing you want to do is use some 3M tape. I'll leave a link in the description as well on this one. This one's 2mm wide. This is the best for these iPads that I have found. As you're putting this tape down, make sure to be pressing on the frame as well. Make sure that you are not covering any holes like the camera or anything like that. All we're doing here is going around the edges. There will be tape on the screen that we ordered as well. I always put tape on the actual frame, and then I use the tape from the screen. Seems to go down a lot better. Now we're going to connect our digitizer back once you put tape all the way around the sides. Remember, there's 2 connections, and then there's going to be this one down here at the bottom that has this lift gate. And I kind of form it in an L shape. It helps you grab it, and you can push up into that connector and then slap that lift gate down. We're going to connect our digitizer, and once you do that, then you're going to want to put this plate back on. This plate is kind of tough to get to when you're holding the digitizer, so if you have somebody to help, that's great, but if not, just be very careful when holding that LCD. I forgot to put this in, and I noticed it kind of close to the end before I had taped everything down, so I got lucky. Just remember, this holds the cables, so if you accidentally drop it, it puts pressure on it so those cables don't pop off. Once we lay our LCD down, and then our digitizer over LCD, in this bottom right corner, you'll be able to tell that the cable doesn't go down right. That's because there's a piece of tape on this cable, and you want to take this tape off, and you want to fold this cable into the digitizer where it sits extremely flush. And that'll help whenever you're doing your repair to sit flush and there's no gaps or anything like that. So all I'm doing right now is I'm just folding it back on itself. Now we're going to put it in, we're going to turn it on, and we're going to test it. I don't know the code to this, so I'm just going to do the emergency 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then do it in opposite direction. You just want to make sure that on the screen it's reading exactly how you're touching it. And then touch it, press your home button. Home button's working, everything's working, so we're looking really good right now. So now we're going to start putting our screws back. And remember, you need to put that plate back before you put these screws. I didn't realize I left that out until here in just a second. But you put these 4 screws back on. And then I take a microfiber cloth and I clean the LCD quite a bit. If you accidentally touch it with your fingertips or anything like that, you can take a microfiber cloth and clean it. And it really does help out a lot. But sometimes while you're doing these repairs, you accidentally touch the screen. And even if you get a real dirty fingerprint on there and you take your microfiber cloth and clean it, it does a really good job. You can't really tell. Here's some of the anti-static tweezers that I was using. I'll leave a link in the description of where I got mine. Like I said, just cleaning off any kind of shards of glass, any kind of fingerprints, anything like that. And then I forgot to take this off many times before, but it's a real thin sheet of plastic that fits on here to cover the screen, and you want to make sure you pull that off. Sometimes it can be difficult to get a hold of it. This one had a little blue tab and I accidentally ripped it off, so now I'm trying to find it, and it can be difficult. And it's on there so thin, you can't even tell that it's on there, so make sure that you pull this off before you finish your screen. As you can tell right here, I finally get it off. And And when you're pulling it off, be careful. You don't want to pull out your cables. So hold on to your screen. And we're just going to lay this puppy on there just right. The best place to line this up is to look up at the very top on the camera. You can line that camera up, everything else should fit into place very well. On this screen in particular, you'll notice on the right side where we folded that cable, it's got a little lift to it. So you want to make sure you press just a little bit harder right there. Don't get too crazy, but you want to press a little bit harder. Sometimes if you don't fold that tape just right, it'll stick out just a little bit. So now we're going to turn the iPad on after we've pressed around the sides. Sometimes you can actually take your heat gun and go around the sides to help heat up that glue and make it a little bit more sticky. And you can press down, but most of the time you don't have to do that. All right, so we're just testing it out and pushing the home button a little bit. Everything's working, testing the numbers. Remember, you'll make sure they test in order, swiping the screen a little bit. And as far as I can tell, it works fine. So guys, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys learned something, or if you guys got something that I missed, let me know. But I do appreciate you guys watching. Please subscribe for more do-it-yourself videos. I'm not a professional by any means, but I've fixed a lot of iPads, phones, electronics in general. But thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.